Hey guys, Happy New Year! It is 2026. Isn't that crazy? It's so crazy, 2026. But it's going to be an amazing year, an exciting year of growth and renewal and refuel and excitement with your students, in your lives, in your families. And today we're going to talk about how to rebuild classroom community in January. Right? It feels like you just got done with the crazy time right before the holidays. And now you're coming back to more crazy time because now the kids have to readjust, remind themselves, I'm back in school. And it is tough. It can totally feel like it's a second first day. But it is completely normal to have your students be tired and emotional after break. So they have had disrupted routines, holiday stress, inconsistent sleep, family, friends, overwhelm, lots of activities that they were doing, or maybe no activities, right? Just chilling or just playing games. But this episode is going to help you rebuild that connection so that you don't feel like you're starting from scratch. It's reminders for your students. Hey, we are back to school, we are back to learning, back to doing their best. So we're going to go over some micro interventions, connection strategies, co-regulation, some scripts, and I hope and pray that this will be helpful for you to now survive and thrive in January 2026. Welcome to Behavior Strategies for Class. I am Diane Bachman, your behavior paraprofessional with over 15 years of experience working in special education. And I'm so glad you're here because I'll be teaching you about social emotional learning, behavior strategies, trauma-informed care, and more. So if you are tired of being frustrated and not knowing what to do with your students who have challenging and disruptive behavior, you're in the right place. Now, if you're ready to become more equipped to help your students learn and grow, let's listen in to today's episode. And before we get started, I encourage you, hit that subscribe button, share this podcast, this episode with other educators you know, so that they can be empowered together and we can continue to learn and grow together in 2026. So I also want to encourage you that majority of students are going to struggle coming back to school, back to the routine. And I know a lot of you educators, like this is not your first rodeo, this is not your first year. So you know, like the overwhelm that you may feel coming back to school and getting these kiddos back on track. And what's interesting, we have noticed some of our students, like the first day, they seem great. They just go through the motions. They're doing what they need to do. And then by the second or third day is when they're like, oh yeah, they're done with this. They don't want any part of this school and learning and expectations. So at times we've spent time just hanging out in the hallway. Some of our kids will just sit in the hall. It's like they don't want to go anywhere. They're not going to do anything. They refuse. And so we'll just sit with them. And sometimes it takes a while. Other times, they want more support. And so we are able to push in the classroom with them and help them get started on whatever it is that they need to be doing. So just to say, it is completely normal. There is nothing wrong with you or your class when students are coming in and refusing and they're tired and they're whiny and they're emotional. But you will get through it. So definitely safety, predictabilities, routines, these all weaken during these long breaks. Right? And so some of your students are going to return hypervigilant. They're going to be withdrawn or they're going to be testing those boundaries because Like I said, when they're on vacation, they're on break, they have no true, I guess, expectations as far as like doing any schoolwork. Or, like I said, bedtimes, vary for different reasons. Parents probably are more laid back during this time, and so they have a lot more freedom. And now all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but break is over and now they're in the classroom and you're giving them expectations and they're like, "What?" Well, quickly they are reminded they are in school. And so we will constantly have that conversation with our students as well. Like, "Look, buddy, I'm glad you had a great break. You had great time off. But now we're in school. So now is the time you're going to be doing your learning. So this is definitely the time to remind them of the expectations for your class. Remind them of the class routines, your class mantra, if you have that, doing those predictable transitions. And really, for the most part, majority of students really get back into the routine and expectations pretty quickly. There's definitely, obviously, going to be some that are going to push back the whole time. But definitely going over these expectations and routines is super important. And so just a little side note is that this month is really about rebooting in January. What are strategies? What are engagement? How helping your students get back emotional regulation? All of these things we'll be talking about in January. So tune in this month. So here's a script example that you can use for your students when they are back. You can just remind them, "Look, we've been away for a while, so let's walk through this again. So let's walk through what the expectations are when you're in class, when we're doing math or when we're doing writing or, when we're doing transitions. Let's just walk through this so you are reminded of what you need to do." I think that's a simple way. It's not out of control. It's not super demanding, but it's just reminding them there are expectations. So some micro connection strategies that you can use is doing those check-ins first thing, greeting your students at the door. I see a lot of teachers doing that, and I think it really just helps set the tone for your class for the day. And basically just saying like, "I'm glad you're here." Maybe that's not the time you ask what they did over the break, but just, "Hey, it's so great to see you. I'm glad you're here." Just quick check-ins. Some teachers have lists on their door, like asking students, "Do you want to do a high five? Do you want to do a fist pump, a side hug, a just hi?" Giving them options on how they can greet you just empowers them as well in giving them that voice on how they want to be greeted. And so that's really cool. And a lot of students really enjoy that as well, that I have seen. And definitely, if you are able to, give them that share time. Some of your students are going to be like exploding and wanting to tell you so many cool things that they did over break. But giving everybody an opportunity to do that the first day is probably not going to work, right? That's going to take a lot of your time. So I've seen some teachers say, "Okay, we're going to have 3 students share today," and then everybody gets a chance, during the week to share what they have done or what, excitement they want to share. And so just giving them that opportunity, but obviously in a structured way if you need to, or maybe it's at recess and you're able to be out there with them and you want to talk with them, however you want to do it. But I think if you're able to give them that a special opportunity to share, that will help you also and them, because they need to get it off their chest, right? They want to share in the excitement. and you're not bombarded with kids coming up to you every 5 seconds, you have a designated time set out for them to share. So some other co-regulation examples. So I talked about like some of your kids are going to be emotional, and they're going to be emotional because they are tired, right? They're not used to back to the routine. They have to get up early. Some kiddos pack their own lunch. Some kiddos have to get on the bus, so they have to get up earlier. Lots of different things will make them irritating, sad, maybe, withdrawn, tired, no energy, all of these things. But reminding them that they are safe where they are when they come to school, and that you are there to help them. You are there to encourage them, to let them know, hey, let's figure this out together. If something is they're struggling with, they're frustrated, you can come alongside and say, hey, let's figure this out together. Or you can say, let's slow down together. Maybe, you're excited about the lesson and what you're teaching, and maybe you've gone quickly through the lesson. And so some of your students are just, deer in the headlights, and they're not really sure, like, what just happened? So maybe just a reminder that if you're able to slow down just a little bit, and then asking, are you guys getting this? Am I going too fast? Do you need me to slow down? Do you want, are there other visuals that you can use? Just different ways to help them get back engaged and get back in that mode. Another way that you can re-anchor your class is creating maybe a new mantra where you can say it's a new year, but the same us. So we still have the same expectations in the way that we are going to treat each other in class, the way that we care about each other in class, the way that we are kind and we say kind words. It's a new year, but all of these expectations are still the same. And then inviting your students to help create new goals. Maybe new goals for the classroom as a whole. Maybe new goals for, their individual math goals, writing goals, or maybe just as a class. It could be a behavior goal for the class. Again, the way they treat each other. It could be their writing goals, like I said, their math. Whatever it is you feel would be helpful for them, helping them to kind of brainstorm what do they think is going to be helpful for them? What's going to motivate them to do even better? And then I would encourage you to do some type of community project. Now, this could be in your classroom. So you have like a kindness or gratitude project. So kindness is in the way, again, that they are treating each other in the classroom. A gratitude is maybe they're thankful for a different class that they interact with or a different teacher that they interact with. How can they show gratitude to those people? And maybe do it for like a month. And if you listen to my previous podcast, I list out some activities that you can do, winter activities. And so you could make like a giant hot chocolate thing or make like a snowman, and kids are adding their own snowballs to it when they are showing kindness or gratitude to somebody. And then after that month, and they've earned, 20 snowballs, hopefully 40, whatever it is that you decide, and then you have maybe a hot chocolate party or something. Those are good motivators, I think, and it gets kids out of constantly thinking about themselves, right? We all can use that to think about others around us and how we can help them and be kind to them. And also, behavior spikes are going to happen. Behavior spikes are not always defiance, it's communication. So again, some of your students, when they're grumpy, when they're tired, when they're hungry, when they are not used to the routine, they're becoming more disruptive. And so some micro interventions that you can do is giving them a little space and keeping a calm tone. So we know, right, your tone can make a difference in the way you talk to your students when they are escalated, when you can tell they're agitated. If you come over and you try and talk and you're mad and frustrated and irritated, like it just amps up the whole situation, right? You guys, it's hard to get anywhere when you're just butting heads. So if you are able to give them a little space, to use a calm voice, it kind of shuts down that agitation. And so you can just say, I'll give you a minute, and then we can talk about whatever it is. Maybe they're irritated, they can't understand the problem, and now they're just yelling out at you, and they're frustrated, and you can just calmly say, we'll talk in just a minute. I'll just give you a minute. Or when you can use a calm voice, we can talk. Because we'll say that to some of our students if they're like amped up and they're agitated and they're running around the room and then they're like, I don't understand this work, and then they're frustrated. It's like, when you can show me you're calm and you're sitting in your seat, then I'll come and help you. And usually it'll take a couple more minutes for them running around, and then they'll finally sit down and it's like, okay, so now show me what you need help with. And usually they're ready then. They're ready to learn. Sometimes they just have to get it out and they just need a minute. And so being able to respond calmly and giving them a little bit of space does help. Another micro intervention you can use is offering choices, if you are able to. So sometimes we will say, like, especially if a student has, some work to get caught up on, and say it's writing and then it's math, usually we'll be like, okay, well, which one do you want to start on first? Right? The choices don't have to be big giant ones or avoidance choices. Sometimes it's like, do you want to use this pencil or do you want to use that pencil? Do you want to sit in this chair or do you want to sit over there at that table? These are just different little choices that just helps them know that they have a voice. And so those are important. Maybe it's offering a choice like, okay, I'll give you a couple minutes, but then you're going to need to start working. Or I'll give you a couple minutes, then you can come ask me what you need help with. Or, sit and do your best at trying. Whatever it is, those little choices that you can give them just gives them a voice so that they feel they're being heard. And that goes a long way with students. Another micro intervention you can do is giving them that sensory break. If you have a calm space or a calm corner in your classroom, giving them the opportunity to go over, use some sensory fidgets or sensory tools for a couple minutes, and then having them come back to their task. Sometimes it's at their desk. Maybe they do have a fidget in their desk that they are not allowed to use all the time, and maybe that's the time. Okay, you have 2 minutes, use your fidget, and then you need to put it away and start your work. Just giving them the opportunity, kind of get out that angst, that movement. And then another micro intervention is having those repair conversations. So say a student is being rude and disrespectful to you, and you just calmly Remind them, like, I'll talk to you later. And then being able to go back later and just say, dude, like, I don't appreciate when you are disrespectful to me and I'm trying to help you, and, letting them know, like, it's not okay. If you're upset and you're frustrated, then just tell me that without being disrespectful. And students are really receptive to that. I mean, even the littles, sometimes, like, they don't always get it. Of course, they're little. But even some of the older elementary kids, like, they understand that and they appreciate that because you are taking the time to talk to them about it. I know that seems crazy, but I feel like a lot of the students don't even get those simple correction conversations at home. And so now you're just taking a minute and just saying, hey, like, if you're frustrated, then tell me you're frustrated. Don't yell at me, in front of class, or throw your pencil or whatever it was they did, because that's not helpful. And you could hurt somebody in class or whatever it is. Just reminding them and having that calm voice when you are having the conversation. Because you can't have this conversation and be yelling at them while you're having the conversation, right? Yes, you may be mad and upset about what they did, but you're not going to get anywhere by having a conversation when you're mad and upset and using that angry tone. Like, they're not going to hear it. So I think sometimes those couple minutes that we give the students is definitely good for us as well. We get a couple minutes to, like, relax, and then we're ready just as much to have conversations with them. Like, I think of my kids when they were younger, and they were doing something crazy, and it's like, go to your room. Like, I don't want to see you right now. Go to your room. And I would try my best not to go in there right away because I'm still mad and I'm still angry. And so me going in when I'm feeling like that is not helpful, right? We're just going to fight. We're just going to argue. So when we have time just as well to be able to be calm, to be able to respond with a calm voice and a calm body, that conversation goes much better. Are they always going to be receptive to it? Probably not. But you know that you did the right thing, and you are always teaching, always giving them lessons on everything, right? And when you're able to do that in a calm voice, it makes such a difference. And usually they do respond with a calm voice in return. So I encourage you, making small, consistent adjustments will make a difference and not feel overwhelming to you. So we went over some scripts that you can use, some micro connection strategies, some co-regulation examples. How can you re-anchor your classroom? Some micro interventions for behaviors. Lots of good stuff in here to remind you on how to rebuild your classroom community in January. And also, just remember that you are not behind. You are just rebuilding community, rebuilding and reminding of expectations and routines. And remember that this is a practice. It's not only going to be one time, right? You're not going to just remind them once and they're going to remember. For the most part, you will have those amazing, beautiful star students who will remember, and they'll be the great example and role model for their students, for the other students. So what micro intervention will you use to help you rebuild that classroom community this month? What script are you going to apply as well? You got this, guys. It's 2026. You are going to continue to change lives, make a difference each and every day. And I want to leave you with this quote from Linby Ifam. And as she says, a year of endless potential starts with a hopeful January. You have a year, technically 5-6 months of this year, school year, of endless potential. For you, for your students, for your classroom, for your school community. And I know you are going to do even more amazing things. All right, guys, we will see you next week. Thanks so much for listening. I truly appreciate your support. And if I have encouraged you, motivated you to continue to learn, to support your students, even better, to help them strive in your classroom, please leave a review, hit that subscribe button so that others can see they can learn and grow here as well. Thank you.